All right, so first things first, to kick off today's cannabis-powered yet sports-driven talk show. It's hard to deny the positive effect that cannabis has had on sports in the past and sports today as we know it. Cannabis is a part of sports whether you like it or not.
The Fantasy Football Huddle, presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Show and your host, Dallas Clark, also known as Indo is my Nindo. Everybody huddle up, grab a piece of paper, and get settled in. It's just about time for the Fantasy Football Huddle, presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Show and your host, Indo is my Nindo. Let's get it started, baby.
What is happening, baby? Welcome to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own Huddle Chat Sports Show, live with the pregame kickoff for you guys today. We did a lot of shit just to live this here lifestyle. I'm so happy to be here with y'all today. We weren't able to do it last week. I was just coming back from Hawaii. Got engaged out there. Shouts out to the love of my life. Cannot wait to get married. And I also cannot wait to get into this week's matchups. Today, we're going to be starting everything off like we normally do out here. We're going to be going through every matchup here throughout this first half hour of the show. Going through every matchup, everything you need to know, and our predictions, our best bets for today's matchups. And then what we're going to be doing is once we get that injury information at the top of the hour, give you guys all the updated injury information that we haven't yet got. And then we are going to be getting into our best bets of the day. Now, first thing we want to talk about, of course, is that Thursday night football matchup. Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. Buffalo Bills got in that ass on Thursday night against the Dolphins. You're looking at Tyreek Hill having a disappointing game, Jalen Waddle having a disappointing game. Honestly, everybody on the field outside of James Cook had a disappointing game. Even Josh Allen had the one touchdown to James Cook, and that was just about it. You weren't getting the same Tyreek Hill that you were getting the week before, the same Jalen Waddle you were getting the week before. And then we all know we got that concerning concussion from Tua Tagovailoa, which would be his fourth concussion that we've seen in recent history over the last 2 years, which is not boding well. The rumors are that he's going to be hitting up a neurologist before he makes a decision on whether he comes back or not. So we'll definitely keep you guys in the know on what's happening with Tua Tagovailoa. Definitely not the information that you were hoping to see, but we all kind of knew what to expect when we saw him reach up, how his hands were that day and everything like that. But the Buffalo Bills, I think the Dolphins really needed to win that game really bad because they're playing one of the best teams in their division, the team that's owned their division since the exit of Tom Brady out of this division. And then you're also looking at them being at home as well. That was a big game for the Miami Dolphins. It's still a long season. However, you are looking at the last 0-2 team that won the Super Bowl was in 2007. That New York Giants team that started 0-2 ended up going to the Super Bowl. Moving on, probably to the next biggest story as far as these morning games go, that San Francisco 49ers, Minnesota Vikings matchup. This Christian McCaffrey shit has gotten real. The Madden curse, guys, we can't deny it at this point. It's too real at this point. You're looking at Christian McCaffrey. They're doing to NFL fans, fantasy owners, similarly to what the Indianapolis Colts did with Andrew Luck. You're looking at Christian McCaffrey. They said, hey, everything's precautionary in this preseason. He's not practicing, yada, yada, just because he's not ready to play. We're just keeping him safe. Then he's out week 1. We learned from Jordan Mason on Monday night that he learned on Friday that he was the starting running back. So they knew the whole time Christian McCaffrey was going to be out. And then you're also then looking at the fact that now Christian McCaffrey going into this week was doubtful heading into this week and has now since been placed on injured reserve. Not looking well for Christian McCaffrey. I have heard, I haven't gotten able to do my own medical research on it yet, but I have heard that essentially they were afraid of a ruptured tendon in Christian McCaffrey's Achilles. That's why you're seeing a lot of calf/ankle reports. It's an Achilles injury for Christian McCaffrey. And if he wasn't feeling better by this week, or if anything, if the worst case scenario, he was feeling worse, then he has a likely ruptured tendon in his Achilles, which would mean he'd be out for the entirety of the season. That is not a 100% official 100% word for me yet. Don't take me on that word and run with it, but that is what I am hearing, that if Christian McCaffrey's pain level has not gotten any better, it's likely a ruptured Achilles tendon, and he will be out for the year. As far as the game goes, you're looking at Sam Darnold having a really good game last week, but of course they were playing against the New York Giants. Now you're also looking at the San Francisco 49ers without Christian McCaffrey. However, you also know that they killed it last week without Christian McCaffrey with Jordan Mason in the lineup. I think that the San Francisco 49ers defense was not nearly as good as they were expected to be, but we all know that left tackle for the Chargers that they were playing against last week, that left tackle was definitely giving them some fits out in San Francisco. They were not able to get the pass rush like they were liking to. And so that was making San Francisco's defense struggle last week, and it really showed in the entirety of that game. I think against Minnesota, they're going to have a lot better game. They're going to have a lot more pressure on Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is going to play well. However, I do not think that the Vikings win this game. You're looking at the Vikings. They have had the ability to cover the spread, which I do think if I'm betting, I'm going with the Vikings to beat the spread. They are 5-6 in their last 6 games against the spread. So I'm taking the Vikings against the spread, but I definitely think that the Niners are going to win this game. Moving on down the line with these morning games here that we got going on, you got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Baltimore Ravens. You're looking at the Raiders having a pretty decent defense as well, and that they are who played the Chargers last week and also struggled to have any defensive pressure in the face of the Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert. You're looking at the Ravens having, of course, a decent game against the Chiefs last week, playing one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league, at home on the opening game of the season. You're guaranteed to see some mistakes from both teams in that game, and you definitely saw it. The Ravens came really close, but you're looking at this matchup being between 2 0-1 teams, and I think the Ravens end up 1-1 at the end of this. I got them winning by 10 points. Gardner Minshew, he's great, but he is not a week-to-week starting quarterback in the NFL. So I'm really not comfortable with Gardner Minshew as my starting quarterback in fantasy football or for my team. I'm glad he's out of Indianapolis at the current moment. But like I said, I got the Ravens beating the Raiders in this game. The next game that we got going on, you got the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, of course, the Carolina Panthers, I've talked about them this week in my lessons that we have learned from week 1 episode. And the Carolina Panthers are just, for lack of better words, terrible. They're bad at football. Bryce Young has got to be the worst number 1 pick bust of all time, if not the worst number 1 bust pick in a very long time. The Carolina Panthers are bad altogether on offense. There was a lot of optimism going into week 1 that they might have had some improvements, but that was all slashed last week. You're looking at the Chargers. They didn't have the ability to get it going as much as they wanted to on offense last week, but they were able to get the victory anyhow. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have a fantastic plan. If you have a Chargers running back on your team, specifically J.K. Dobbins, I'm throwing him into my lineup at all possibilities. Shouts out to Elijah Ending, said, "What is happening?" back, baby. Welcome back. Anyway, we're looking at the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. I think if you have a Chargers running back, they're going to have an insane running game today. I don't think Justin Herbert throws over 200 yards because I think the Chargers are going to be absolutely dominant on the ground. The Carolina Panthers front seven is absolutely dog water. They couldn't fight out of a paper bag if they needed to. So I'm definitely going to be looking at the Los Angeles Chargers taking this win this week. Next game on the list is going to be the New Orleans Saints versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'd be willing to bet that this game is on Fox as America's game of the week this week. I don't know about you guys, but you guys know how the nation loves to pretend to watch the Dallas Cowboys. I know I'll have my TV on the Colts game and the Red Zone. Anyway, looking at the Saints versus the Dallas Cowboys, there's not much needed to be said here. The Saints played extremely well last week with Derek Carr putting up that 47 points, but this is not last week. They're playing one of the best defenses in the league, one of the defenses that creates turnovers at the highest rate. I definitely think the Cowboys run away with this game. I think the Saints put up points and they stay in this game. I don't think it's a blowout from the beginning, like how the Cowboys did the Cleveland Browns last week, but I do think that the Dallas Cowboys definitely run through the New Orleans Saints this week. As my man Poppy likes to say on the Just Fans podcast, fuck the Saints. I don't feel as strongly as he does, but nonetheless, fuck the Saints. I think the Cowboys are going to be winning this game today. I think the Cowboys win by at least 10 points today. I'm looking at the Saints putting up 21, Cowboys putting up 34 points. We're looking at a 13-point win for the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion. Next, we're going to be looking at that Tampa Bay Buccaneers Detroit Lions game. You're looking at Baker Mayfield playing really well last week. You're looking at him being the number one quarterback in a passing standpoint last week. But I do think that when you look at the biggest factor in this game is going to be the defensive secondary of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Jared Goff, against Amon-Ra, against this fire Detroit Lions offense in Ford Field. You're already looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive secondary being a little bit beat up today. I definitely think when you look at it, it's going to be very obvious this week that the Lions are going to be on a bounce back week. I know they are 1-0, but the Lions did not start the way they wanted to, in particular, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And with the problems in the secondary, I bet Amon-Ra St. Brown is sitting there right now, writing down all of the names of every secondary player that he's going to be playing against today because he's going to cook that ass. I'm starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have to at this point, obviously. But I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a top 10 wide receiver this week. We got a question that we're going to be going through this real fast. It said, how you feel about Mark Andrews or Dallas Goedert this week? You think Andrews is going to get double covered a lot today? That's a pretty tough question. I can't lie to you. If you're smart, when you're playing against as the Raiders, if you're smart, you're going to double cover Mark Andrews. Just like last night if you watched UFC 306, if Sean O'Malley ended up winning that fight, you were looking at the obvious glaring weakness that Sean O'Malley is terrible on the ground. And that's what you're going to be looking at with the same game plan the Chiefs had against Mark Andrews. If they double covered Mark Andrews and forced them to do something else, the Ravens were still good, but they weren't deadly like the Ravens can be. I think that if the Raiders are smart, they would do that. However, that is not where the Raiders are known to be very strong. They're known to be strong at their front seven, known to create pressure, which is going to bode well for Mark Andrews. I think a lot of dump offs. I think a lot of good things happen for Mark Andrews. I think with this Eagles offense, they have a lot of figuring out to do. I think that Dallas Goedert has a decent chance, especially in PPR. I'd be more comfortable to start Dallas Goedert in PPR. But I think if Dallas Goedert does not score a touchdown today, Dallas Goedert is not going to make you happy. It's hard to pick anybody in the tight end room right now, but I think Mark Andrews, after last week, after the attention from Isaiah, after how good Isaiah Likely got played with all the attention on Mark Andrews, I think that Mark Andrews is going to still have a good game. I think Isaiah Likely, he deserves attention from the defense, so they're not going to leave him alone. And I think with the Raiders defense creating pressure in on Lamar Jackson, he's going to be creating a lot of dump offs to Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews. So I definitely think there are good starts this week. He said, I am smart, but you're smarter. I'm not talking about our level of smart. I'm talking about the Raiders. If the Raiders are smart, they follow that game plan. But they are the Raiders that we're talking about. Going back into that Tampa Bay Buccaneers Detroit Lions game, like I said, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown has an absolutely amazing game today. And I think that the Buccaneers, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it potentially could be one of the highest-scoring games, especially in the morning slate. But I think that the Detroit Lions come out with the victory at home in this 1-0 matchup. I think that the Detroit Lions are the ones that remain undefeated at Ford Field. Next, we're going to be talking about that Cleveland Browns, Jacksonville Jaguars matchup. You're looking at the Cleveland Browns looking absolutely terrible last week. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what happened there. It was all Deshaun Watson's fault. I hear a lot of people asking for the start of Jameis Winston, and that would be an amazing move if we were playing Madden, but we're not. The Cleveland Browns signed Deshaun Watson to a $242 million guaranteed contract. You're out of your monkey-ass mind if you think that Deshaun Watson is not going to be starting every game for the Cleveland Browns unless he physically cannot do so. I think that Deshaun Watson, he's got to get it together. You're looking at this Jacksonville Jaguars team being pretty decent on defense last week, and they were fairly close to beating a pretty good team in the opening Sunday last week. The Jacksonville Jaguars have some figuring out to do, but the Cleveland Browns have a lot more figuring out to do. I think the biggest factor in this game is going to be that Cleveland Browns defense because they were absolutely terrible against the Dallas Cowboys last week, but that Dallas Cowboys offense is something else, and they were getting beat down on all three sides of the ball that they could handle last week. So this isn't last week. I think the Cleveland Browns defense plays a lot better, but I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have the edge in this game and win with a 3-point lead. Next morning game we're going to be talking about is going to be that Seattle Seahawks New England Patriots game. You're looking at the Seattle Seahawks not having Kenneth Walker in the lineup today. Excuse me. Kenneth Walker not in the lineup today, so if you have Zach Charbonnet, today is the day to play Charbonnet. Wow, that was a tongue twister that I did not expect it to be. Seattle is going to be playing pretty decently. You look at Seattle really needing to get things figured out. It seems like they were one of the teams that struggled the most out of the gate last week. Geno Smith needed a lot of figuring out against the Broncos team. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, all kind of let down last week as well. DK Metcalf, one of the biggest busts of last week as well. I think the Seahawks need to come out this week. You're looking at the New England Patriots. They had a decent game last week. Ramondre Stevenson's season is back. If you guys haven't known, if you guys didn't watch that Lessons We Learned episode, you're looking at Ramondre Stevenson getting that full ownership of that backfield right now. You're looking at Ramondre Stevenson playing in I think 80% of the snaps right now. You're not getting anybody taking carries from Ramondre Stevenson. The only question is, will game script allow Ramondre Stevenson to run? And I think against the Seattle Seahawks, he will have that ability. I do think the Seahawks are going to be the better team this week on the road in Foxborough. I think, like I said, I think the Seahawks really need to get a lot more figured out on offense. That's going to be the biggest key factor for the Seahawks to win this game, is getting more figured out on offense to beat the Patriots. But I think that the Seahawks with Zach Charbonnet, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett can get it done against this decent Patriots defense. We're going to be talking about three more morning games. You got the New York Jets at the Tennessee Titans. Aaron Rodgers last week did not look his best, but he looked like Aaron Rodgers with low mobility, which is what you would expect out of a 45-year-old quarterback. The Tennessee Titans were decent on defense, but seemed like they wanted to do everything they possibly could to lose that game last week, and they did just that. Honestly, you're looking at the Tennessee Titans only allowing 93 passing yards from Caleb Williams, but then you're looking at the Tennessee Titans throwing two interceptions. They had the block punt for the touchdown. One of those interceptions goes for a touchdown. The Tennessee Titans, even though they were decent on defense, shot themselves in the foot over and over and over and over. They Plaxico burst themselves. There's nothing else you can say about that. The Tennessee Titans, if they can get out of their own way, I think can compete with the New York Jets. But I think the New York Jets, especially on defense, are going to be turning things around today. That they were absolutely putrid on Monday Night Football on defense. But you are looking at them having one of the worst matchups that you could have on defense going into week one. So I think they're a lot better on defense. It's going to be hard not to be better on defense against Willie Mayo and this Tennessee Titans team. I'm feeling good about Tony Pollard this week a little bit if they can get the running game going, but I'm not really feeling great about the Tennessee Titans at all. I think the New York Jets win by at least a touchdown. Then we're going to be talking about the New York Giants Washington Commanders game. Probably the game that everybody is the least excited about watching today. I mean, can you feel me on that one? You're looking at Danny Dimes looking like he's going to be begging for dimes at the bus stop by this time next year. You're looking at him really just having the ability to, if Danny Dimes can just not make any mistakes, which is like a bear not shitting in the woods. Danny Dimes is going to make mistake after mistake after mistake. He's going to be dropping mistakes like Chris Paul drops dimes. See what I did there? New York Giants are going to be probably the worst team in the NFL this year. I think the Washington Commanders have a great bounce back game with Jaden Daniels this week. Jaden Daniels played well last week. He played like Anthony Richardson did for the Indianapolis Colts. Not a lot of passing yards, but his rushing made up for it. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to have more time to settle in the pocket. I think Terry McLaurin is going to have a pretty good game today. I think Ben Sano starts getting involved. I think Austin Eckler is going to have a pretty decent game as well with the amount that they're going to be able to pass. But I think Brian Robinson Jr. is definitely going to be the commander that you want to start this week. And the Commanders are the ones that you want to bet on. I don't think that you could pay me your money to bet on the New York Giants at this current moment. Last game we're talking about in the morning, we saved the best for last, ladies and gentlemen. Indianapolis Colts in Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And you're looking at Jordan Love not being there. I don't think I could be more excited as a Colts fan right now. This was going to be a good matchup with Jordan Love. But now you're looking at Malik Willis. Okay, first of all, we know Malik Willis. He played in Tennessee. Malik Willis hasn't thrown more than 100 yards per game. No receiver in any of his starts has ever gotten over 50 yards. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be a pretty decent play this week, but I think the Indianapolis Colts should know that if you can stop the run, force Malik Willis to throw some fucking balls. It's going to be a great game. Jonathan Taylor, top 3 running back this week. You're looking at the ability from the Indianapolis Colts to be able to get those holes open. And you know their motto, RTDB, baby. Run the damn ball. And that's what we're going to be doing all day today. I'm looking at Anthony Richardson going for at least 40 rushing yards. I'm looking at JT going for at least 80 rushing yards. I'm going to take my touchdown. I'm giving Anthony Richardson the touchdown because you know he likes to get dirty out there in the backfield. And then we're also going to be going with a Michael Pittman Jr. anytime touchdown as well in this game. That's going to be a great parlay, a very easily attainable parlay. And I think the Indianapolis Colts win if you're taking the money line. I don't want to get too crazy. So I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts minus 3.5, just more than a field goal. That's going to do it for the morning games. We're going in right into the afternoon games. That Sunday afternoon slate, that 2 p.m. slate for our Mountain Standard Time watchers, and that 4 p.m. slate for everybody else. We got, what is it? 1, 2, 3 games only in the afternoon. I kind of hate when they do that. Let me know in the comments how you feel. I personally feel like they should do better at spreading the games out. I love the onslaught at 11 a.m., at 1 p.m. for some of you East Coast watchers. But I do want to know how you guys feel about when they only have 2 or 3 games in the afternoon. Do you prefer having less games in the afternoon and an onslaught of 11, 12, 13 games first thing in the morning? Or do you like them to spread it out a little bit more, like you get kind of like on a Thanksgiving week where you get 4 or 5 games in the afternoon, 7 or 8 games in the morning, plus your primetime games? I personally like it more that way. And also, let's get that chat going. Let me know what you guys like about the season so far. Any questions that you guys have about it so far. Guys, let me know in the comments how you guys are liking the show so much. And make sure you hit that like button because you have no idea how much that shit helps your boy out. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscriptions bar. And like Elijah Ending said, share it out, please. Right now, we're trying to get to 250 subscribers over on YouTube. I think we've had plus 38 subscribers in the last 28 days, and that has been all y'all, man. Thank you so much for showing the love and the support here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Let's get it up to 250. Share it out to your friends. And yet again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's live episode. Getting into these afternoon games, let's see here. The first one we're going to be talking about is that Rams. Wait, what? He said, spread it out, please. I know you. Pause. He said, spread. You share it out. We don't spread nothing. Anyway, we're looking at that Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinal game. You're looking at the Rams playing pretty decently last week, but ended up coming out with the loss. This is yet another 0-1 versus 0-1 matchup this Sunday. But you're looking at Kyler Murray. Played pretty decent last week. Matt Stafford played a little bit better. I think that the Arizona Cardinals have a lot of figuring out to do. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s involvement is going to be really big in this game, I believe. I don't know why you weren't able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved last week, but you kind of like you're looking at it being week 1. A lot of mistakes made from a lot of teams, and that was probably the biggest mistake from the Arizona Cardinals was not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. involved. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. gets a lot more involved in this game. They have a little bit easier of a time on the defensive side of the ball or on the offensive side of the ball against their opponent on defense in that Rams in that Rams defense, who you saw them what they did against the Detroit Lions. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore, so I think that Arizona is going to have a pretty decent game today. But I ultimately think that the Rams end up coming out with the win. You're looking at the Arizona Cardinals defense being the big key factor for me. The Rams offense passes at such an insane amount. When you look at when Puka Nacua went out, the fact that Cooper Kupp got 21 targets last week is just absolutely wild. I think that the Los Angeles Rams pass again at just an insanely high clip this week. I think the Arizona Cardinals are not equipped to defend against such an onslaught. However, that's going to bode well for you Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. owners, Michael Wilson owners. By the way, Michael Wilson, I want to talk to y'all about him. I told y'all in the late round episode, when I said late round targets that you need to get, people that your idiot league mates aren't paying attention, some of y'all were acting like your idiot league mates. I don't know. You take with that what I meant. Some of y'all just took me saying Michael Wilson is going to be fantastic, especially while Zay Jones is suspended. And y'all said, forget this guy. Why do we even watch him? Michael Wilson had a great week last week. I'm thinking if he's out on your waiver wire, he might be worth a stash. But I think that, like I said, I think that the Los Angeles Rams come out with the win in this one. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think that the Rams, their passing onslaught and the fact that the Arizona Cardinals defense in the secondary is just about as good as the Indianapolis Colts right now. You're looking at that being a pretty big factor for me. I think the Rams end up winning this game. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, Denver Broncos game, which is going to be fairly interesting. And I think Pittsburgh, this might be their breakout game. Got another question here for you. While we're actually between the Cardinals and the Steelers game, George Pickens or Marvin Harrison? That's a damn tough question. But I'm going Marvin Harrison. Despite what we saw last week, you're looking at Marvin Harrison, the Cardinals having more of an ability to throw the ball. You're looking at Kyler Murray having a proven ability to be able to support a number one wide receiver. He wasn't able to do that with DeAndre Hopkins last year because DeAndre Hopkins was suspended for half the season, and then Kyler Murray was hurt for the other half of the season. But you're looking at George Pickens and against this Denver Broncos offense, who knows who's starting at quarterback? I know Russell Wilson was hurt last week. Justin Fields ended up having to come in, and the Steelers didn't pass very much when Justin Fields came in like you would have expected them to. So I think that George Pickens, George Pickens is going to be frustrating for a little bit this year until you can kind of figure out who is going to be the quarterback from week to week. Because right now you're likely to get like a preseason action where you get Russell Wilson one half, Justin Fields the other half. I just think, and you're looking at that Denver Broncos defense, he'll be latched up against Pat Surtain. I think that because you're looking at Pat Surtain being able to lock down his matchup last week. It's coming up as a blank right now for me as who Pat Surtain was against last week, but he shut him down. Pat Surtain is one of the best defensive backs in the league, and he'll be lined up most of the game against George Pickens. That Broncos defense is scary, and I don't think this game is going to be as interesting as we all would hope. I think it's going to end up being a fairly low-scoring contest, a 10-17 type of a game, type of affair. But I think I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that, especially after last week, they want to force feed Marvin Harrison. I think George Pickens, the Steelers might not pass as much as you would want them to, and you might end up being disappointed. George Pickens could score a touchdown, and if George Pickens scores a touchdown, then I'm wrong. But I think that without a touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the better player. If Marvin Harrison scores a touchdown as well as George Pickens, then I think Marvin Harrison ends up being the better player. But I like Marvin Harrison Jr.'s chances to score more without scoring a touchdown. So I'm going MHJ. Going back into that Steelers-Denver Broncos game, I think the Broncos are going to be terrible. I wouldn't start Cortland Sutton. You better not be starting Bo Nix. Somebody asked me the other day, my homeboy sent me a picture, said, what do you think about my team? Yeah, Bo Nix on his bench. I said, brother, what are you doing? He said, I'm not starting Bo Nix. I just dropped him for the Chiefs defense. I said, well, I wouldn't have told you to start Bo Nix any fucking way. So good choice. But I think that the Denver Broncos, I'm staying away from, I think, every Denver Bronco in my list. I'm not really comfortable with Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm not really comfortable with Bo Nix. Like I said, I'm not comfortable with Cortland Sutton. I might start the Broncos defense. I think that'd be the only player that I'd be starting. And they're not even a player, it's the whole unit. The Steelers, I think the Steelers are going to have a decent game this week. I'm really excited for Najee Harris to get going this week, but you're playing that pretty difficult front seven from the Broncos. So I think really the running game from the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be the biggest determining factor in this contest. However, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have this one easily. And then the last afternoon game, which is going to be probably the most interesting game on the slate today, Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs. If this game goes how we all expect it to go on paper, it's going to be the most interesting game to watch on TV. Before this game even starts, we're wondering, will the Bengals play like they did last week? Or will the Bengals play like we think that they're going to play, which is a good-ass team that can compete with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes? Either way, this game has a lot of interest going into it. I think Kansas City, is going to take the win just from Cincinnati. I think there's a lot of shit going on in Cincinnati. You're looking at them losing Joe Mixon in the offseason. You're looking at Jamar Chase coming out in this week and being like, I feel like the Bengals have misled me as far as me getting to sign my contract this offseason. So it seems like there's a lot of locker room turmoil going on. You got Cody Rhodes at quarterback right now and Joe Burrow with that terrible haircut. And he looks like an American nightmare for Cincinnati Bengals fans. I can't find another way to put it. You're looking at Joe Burrow. Last season, we had the excuse of the injuries. He wasn't ready going into week 1. He wasn't healthy. But last week, what the hell happened last week? They had a fantastic matchup. What happened to Joe Burrow? There is no answers. My only hope is that I can double down on Joe Burrow. And I can, you know what I'm saying? And Joe Burrow will just be like, hey, last week 1, the Bengals didn't play many starters. We didn't have a lot of games last year that we all played together as a cohesive unit that was all healthy. And so, I can make the excuses for the Bengals. Now, can the Bengals come in and fucking play some football? That needs to be seen today. Hopefully, Cody Rhodes can get it figured out. Joe Burrow can get it figured out today. And then we can get the Bengals and Chiefs game that we all expect. The Bengals and Chiefs AFC championship matchup that we all expect. I think the Cincinnati Bengals, the Bengals are hard to talk about right now because you want to say, if everything goes right, if everything works the way that we think it's going to work. But the Bengals have been the most any given Sunday ass team that I've seen in the last 365 days. You have no idea whether you're going to get MVP Joe Burrow or Carson fucking Wentz playing quarterback when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think that's the biggest problem for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's why they're going to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. Lastly, we're going to be talking about the Monday night and Sunday night football games. Before we get everything out of the way with those, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscriptions bar, as well as that notifications bell, and drop in the comments. Let me know if you guys have any questions on your lineup, any questions on injuries. Let me know what you guys got going on. I am here to help you. You know how everybody always complains that people don't care about your fantasy football lineup? Look right here. I care, ladies and gentlemen. I care. Tell me your lineups. Ask me your questions, and I got your back. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you smash that like button because you have no idea how much that helps. And hit that subscriptions bar if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, immediately follow this video up by going over to YouTube and hitting that subscriptions bar. We're trying to get up to 250 subscribers here. And we've had, I think, almost 40 subscribers in the last 28 days, which has been absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you so much for your love and support. I cannot do this without y'all. Miss Dysfunctional says the real Slim Shady when talking about Joe Burrow. For real. Please stand up. The real Joe Burrow needs to stand up this week. So going into Sunday Night Football, you're looking at Chicago Bears, Houston Texans. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think that I'd be complaining this early in the season about the primetime slates. Chicago, Houston, I get it. You want to see last year's rookie quarterback, the best rookie quarterback of all time in C.J. Stroud. You want to see this year's number 1 pick, Caleb Williams. You want to see them battle against each other. But people want to see fucking C.J. Stroud battle Anthony Richardson as well. When we don't get that on primetime unless it gets flexed because all the other games are so terrible. But we really got this Chicago Bears team against this Houston Texans team on primetime. I think tonight is going to be a good night for the Bears to go in and say, we have nothing to lose. This is a win-win situation for the Bears. There is a way they could lose, and that's by getting their asses handed to them by the Houston Texans. But if the Bears play good, like the Colts last week, if the Bears can play good against the Texans and just not get beat down senselessly, then the Bears played a good game. That's a win for them. That's a worrisome situation for the Houston Texans. If the Bears mess around somehow and beat this Houston Texans team, then wow. All power to the Bears. They're looking at 2-0 going into the season. But you're looking at the mistakes that Caleb Williams made last week. You're looking at the fact that 14 of their 24 points last week that they scored was from defensive scores and blocked punts. You're looking at Caleb Williams, 93 yards that he threw last week. And you're looking at this Houston Texans team. They did the same thing to Anthony Richardson last week. You're looking at this being almost exactly like last week's matchup for the Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson threw barely over 100 yards, 9 complete passes, but he ran everywhere. Caleb Williams cannot run like Anthony Richardson. I think this Texans team is going, especially on defense, is going to be the biggest key factor in this game. If the Texans can just do what they did last week to the Indianapolis Colts, keep the Chicago Bears offense on the field and make them pay for the mistakes that they're going to make because they have a rookie quarterback in his second week. All of his wide receivers are banged up. You're looking at the Bears really not being able to stand a chance if they don't score points. So it's going to be up to the Texans to really, on defense, lock this game in. I think the Bears are going to score, let's say 17 for the Bears, but I'm looking at the Texans pushing 30. I'm probably going to go 27 for the Texans. So I'm thinking, what is that, 13-point lead for the Texans right there? I definitely got the Texans winning this Sunday night football game. Now, the Monday night, that's where I really got my problems. Who the fuck? Okay, hold on. Let me chill out. Let me take a breather. Let me take a beat, okay? At what point in the offseason did we look at this schedule and say, you know what would be great on Monday night? The Falcons versus the Eagles. What the hell is going on here? That is Monday night. Out of all the games, you got Cincinnati, Kansas City. I'm not even asking for the Colts. The Colts shouldn't be on primetime today. But there are at least 3 other games that I would rather watch on primetime than Atlanta versus Philadelphia. What the hell is going on in this world? You're looking at Kirk Cousins still recovering from his Achilles tear. You're looking at the Falcons still being the Falcons. They fucking suck, dude. And the Eagles, the Eagles played bad last week, but you're looking at the Eagles still being the Philadelphia Eagles. They're missing some of their offensive linemen from last year. They might not be able to get the tush push, but if you're out your crazy ass mind, if you think the Falcons are going to beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football, it's such a crazy idea that I might even put $10 on the Falcons to win on Monday Night Football because it would be such an insane win. I bet you the line right now, I haven't looked at it. The line right now has got to be insane for the Eagles against the Falcons, especially with how Kirk Cousins looks right now. I don't really have much hope for the Atlanta Falcons, if you haven't figured that out yet. Monday Night Football, that shit kind of pisses me off a little bit. I feel like these whack-ass primetime games they keep scheduling early in the season, like I said, at what point were we like, yeah, the Falcons, that's going to be heat on Monday Night Football? And teams like the Indianapolis Colts don't even get one primetime game. Like I said, I'm not asking for the Colts to be on primetime today, but Monday Night Football, that's wild to me. All right, let me take a break. Jordan Reese said, what about my Chiefs? We talked about the Chiefs a little bit earlier, but that's what I'm saying. I think the Chiefs-Bengals should be Monday Night Football. That's kind of the game I feel like when I look at the slate of games, I think Chiefs-Bengals probably the game that I'm most excited about before the Buffalo-Miami game. And that was Thursday Night Football. So I think Cincinnati, if you're doing Buffalo-Miami on Thursday Night Football, Kansas City, Cincinnati on Monday night would be absolutely amazing. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win this game, Jordan. If you didn't know, man, it's really all going to come down to, can the Bengals stay in this game? Do the Bengals get beat down today, or do the Bengals at least make it a decent contest that you don't feel like turning the channel? I think that's going to do it for all the games that we got going on today. Let's go ahead and look and see if we got any new injury information really fast. Give me one moment. While I'm doing that, y'all make sure that you drop in the comments. Let me know if you guys got any lineup concerns, lineup questions, injury questions right now. I'm pulling up the injury report because we had to wait for the top of the hour for the injury report because teams do not release their full injury report for the game until an hour before kickoff. So we're about 5 minutes after the top of the hour. Let's go through these injuries here. Let's go. We got Jordan Love is obviously going to be out this week. You're looking at Josh Jacobs getting the extra opportunity because of that. That's what I was telling you guys earlier in that. Jordan Reese said, you're killing it, bro. I see you doing your things. Bless up, fam. Thank you so much, big dog. Make sure you hit that subscriptions bar, please, if you haven't already. We're just trying to do the damn thing, man. We absolutely love it. We love doing this for everybody, man. I love having fun with y'all and just doing what I love, man. This is my dream right here. Waking up in the morning, drinking some coffee, and just talking football with y'all. So I appreciate that a lot, man. Big ups. We're looking at Christian McCaffrey, as we talked about earlier. He's going to be being placed on injured reserve. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. And you're looking at it being an Achilles issue. And if you're not hearing anything good over the next 2 weeks, I'd be really nervous about Christian McCaffrey potentially being out for the entirety of the season. Kenneth Walker is going to be out for the Seattle Seahawks as well. You're looking at Marshawn Lloyd for the Green Bay Packers. He is playing today, which is going to be good for the Green Bay Packers. Maybe not as great for Josh Jacobs, but that's going to be a great addition for the Green Bay Packers. I don't think Marshawn Lloyd gets a ton of carries and stuff today. It's his first week in the NFL. He's coming off that injury that I think it was a hamstring injury that he was going through all preseason. So I definitely think that Marshawn Lloyd isn't going to be very involved today, but that's going to be something to watch. He was one of those players that I told you guys to add into your watch list when it comes to the waiver wires. Looks like A.J. Brown should be healthy. There's a legitimate doubt. Yeah, he's A.J. Brown's going to be playing today. Jordan Addison from the Minnesota Vikings is out, ankle injury. Looking at T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's see what's going on with him because he was doubtful coming into the week. Let me see. Yeah, hopefully Jamar Chase is a lot more prepared this week if T. Higgins is out. Still got to wait for the full word on T. Higgins, probably because that's an afternoon game. You're looking at Puka Nacua on injured reserve. Keenan Allen is going to be in, I believe, this week, it looks like. Yep, Keenan Allen's playing this week. Hollywood Brown on injured reserve. We already knew that. Jaden Reed is playing. Romo Dunze should be playing. Let me see here. I'm starting to get these. I'm getting notifications all over the place. So you got to give me 1 second to get it all kind of in order here. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, wait. Actually, just came through. A.J. Brown has been downgraded to out with a hamstring injury for Monday Night Football. So A.J. Brown owners, that just came through. A.J. Brown has been downgraded to out this week. So that's going to be big for you as well. You're also looking at Jacksonville Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram being ruled out after sustaining a hamstring injury in pregame warmups. That's a new development. So Evan Ingram owners, make sure you go out there and switch Evan Ingram in right now, or switch him out right now. I also got to switch out A.J. Brown in one of my lineups right now. Let's see here. Outside of Kenneth Walker, it looks like nothing crazy for Seattle. As far as the Detroit Lions, wide receiver Jameson Williams is active after being questionable with the ankle. Jordan Love is officially inactive. Tight end Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys will be inactive against the New Orleans Saints. You're looking at nothing else really big in that game. Jordan Addison and Fabian Moreau are going to be out in the Vikings game for the Minnesota Vikings. Josh Downs for the Indianapolis Colts is out today, if you haven't heard that yet. Looking at Jaden Reed, like I said, is active today. And Marshawn Lattimore, this is big for CD Lamb owners. Marshawn Lattimore listed as questionable with a hamstring, will be inactive versus the Cowboys, which is leaving CD Lamb against their backup, or their second best defensive back. So CD Lamb owners, rejoice. You might have a fantastic game from CD Lamb today with them not having much to worry about. Looking at Ken James representing the Packers. You guys going down today, Kenneth. I want to tell you that. Thank you for tuning into the show, though. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscriptions bar, please. And thank you, Ken. Let's go through the rest of what we got going on here. Yeah, Josh Downs is out. Devon Vell, who I talked about in the waiver wire episode this week, is out for the Sunday's game against the Steelers. Let's see here. David Njoku is going to be out as well. So you're looking at David Njoku, Evan Ingram, and Jake Ferguson. That's 3 top 10 tight ends. You guys might need some new tight end options. We're going to be looking at those here. I'm going to go on my waiver wire, show you some of my favorite waiver wire options. I know Tyler Conklin for the New York Jets. That's one that I really like there. Like I said earlier, Ben Sano or Zach Ertz is out there. One of those two options. I think I would prefer Zach Ertz at this current moment. I wouldn't have the comfortability in starting Ben Sano. Let's see here. Colts Matt Gay is going to be playing. Yay. After his terrible preseason, so excited to see him not kick any field goals today. Got a lot of defensive players that are going to be out as well, but we're mostly going to be focusing on these fantasy football relevant players there for you guys. But I really think that's going to be it for me today on the game side of things. We're going to be going and making some bold predictions for these games here really fast. Give me just one moment. Pull it back up. Do you think the Colts have higher than 50% chance of winning today? Absolutely they do. You're looking at the Green Bay Packers. I think this would have been a lot closer of a game if Green Bay Packers still had Jordan Love in the lineup. But you're looking at Jordan Love being officially inactive for the game. Malik Willis has never thrown over 100 yards in his NFL career. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't gotten better in the offseason, because he has gotten better in the offseason. But getting better doesn't actually mean that he's good yet. So I mean, I could be putting my foot in my mouth right now, and it could be a lot closer of a game. But I think that the Colts This is the week. This is a get right week for the Colts. We're like, what I'm saying? The Texans, that was a tough game. No mistakes, right, are going to be accepted against the Houston Texans. Against the Green Bay Packers with a backup quarterback, their wide receiver situation still kind of up in the air. I think the Indianapolis Colts have a fantastic game today. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the MVP of the Indianapolis Colts game today. I think the Indianapolis Colts should be able to run the damn ball like their motto says, all up and down the field in Lambeau Field, and I'll be okay with a Jonathan Taylor Lambeau leap this week. Will the Colts focus more on run or pass game this like last week? I think that the Colts are going to have an increased emphasis on the pass game this week, but they had an increased emphasis on the pass game last week. And one of my most surprising takeaways from last week's Indianapolis Colts game was the fact that the Indianapolis Colts did not run the ball very much. Jonathan Taylor didn't get very much going on the ground, but he did not really have many opportunities. So I think the Colts should focus more on the run game today. I think if you open up the run game with the way this Indianapolis Colts team is built, it's like the Ravens. If you open up the run game with Jonathan Taylor, that then opens up the read option for Anthony Richardson. That then opens up play action passes for Anthony Richardson. That then opens up Alec Pierce to catch a 60-yard touchdown, because I think that Anthony Richardson is the black Josh Allen. He's got the arm strength of Josh Allen. He can throw that bitch 60, 70 yards through the air. And he also is just damn creative in the backfield, and he just wants to win. I've been comparing Anthony Richardson to Josh Allen since he came in the draft, and I think that when you really look at it and break it down, when you look at the arm strength and his passing ability, he can run like Lamar, and he can throw like Joe Burrow. He can throw like Josh Allen, and that's what I really think the Indianapolis Colts feed off of the best. But we need the run game to open up the more in order for Anthony Richardson to be able to dive into his full potential. So the run game definitely should be the focus this week. Thanks for the questions, Lance. I know my boy's a big Patriots fan. What do you think about the Patriots' chances this week? While you type that in, I'm going to give you guys some of my bold predictions for the week this week. Let's see here. Give me one moment. I think that Jonathan Taylor is definitely going to be a top 3 running back this week. I think Jordan Mason also top 3 running back this week as well. Those are going to be 2 of the running backs that I feel like I'm feeling the most comfortable in when it comes to just flat out rankings going into this week. Let me see here. I think Terry McLaurin plays a much better game than he did last week for the Washington Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels has a much better game passing-wise than he did last week. Kind of just looking through these games here. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a top 3 wide receiver this week as well. And my last bold prediction of the day, the Baltimore Ravens defense will be the number 1 defense to start this week as well. I'll give you guys my predictions, my pick'ems. Like I told you guys each of my games as I was going through them. Some of y'all might not have been here, though. We're going to go Baltimore over the Raiders. We're going to go Chargers over the Panthers. We're going to go Cowboys over the Saints. Lions over the Buccaneers. Colts over the Packers. Jaguars over the Browns. Niners over the Vikings. Seahawks over the Patriots. Jets over the Titans. We're going to go Washington over New York. Rams over Arizona. Pittsburgh over Denver. KC over Cincinnati. Houston runs away with it in Chicago, and Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. That's going to be all my pick'ems. Lance says, I personally think the Pats have a better chance at winning this week against Seattle since they're coming off a win. Mayo's D is shut down, yet Brissett is still a bridge quarterback and makes mistakes more often than not. Trust me, man. I know Jacoby Brissett just about as well as you do. He went from New England to Indy, bounced around a little bit, back to New England. He's like Josh McDaniels right now at this point. But I think that the Patriots have a pretty decent chance. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be a big factor in this game. Ramondre season is back, and I love to see that myself. I just personally think that when you're looking at this Patriots game, I think that the Seahawks had a lot of mistakes on offense last week. You're looking at the power from the Seattle Seahawks offense. I do like the Patriots defense, and I did say earlier that their secondary is going to be the biggest key factor, and they have one of the best secondaries in the league. So I'm looking at that game, and I think that if you're not getting DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant involved for the Seahawks, it's going to be an easy game for the Patriots. But with all the options that the Seahawks do have, if they can use it correctly, if they can utilize all the tools that are in all their mouse good tools that they have available to them, the Seattle Seahawks should be able to win in a very tight game, even though it's in New England. But I do think, like I said, I do like New England's chances. I just think Seattle has it today. Let's see here. He said Gonzo versus top wide receivers has shown that he can hang with them and limit their yardage. It's fantastic to see. Absolutely, though. Like I said, the New England Patriots defense. I feel like I would like the New England Patriots defense more in fantasy football if it wasn't for the New England Patriots offense. So if you notice, a lot of the best defenses in the league have an offense that can also keep them off the field. I feel like the Patriots defense needs to do so much that it makes them not as lucrative as they could be in fantasy football when it comes to matchups like the Seattle Seahawks or tough matchups like when they do have them. But I think that's going to do it. It's 10-17. We got about 45 minutes or less till the actual kickoff of the games. I think that's going to do it for me today. I'm making sure I don't think I have any of the comments that I've missed out on today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this week's live episode, Huddle Chat Sports Network's pregame kickoff show. We got the same thing going on next week. Tomorrow we'll have the What We Learned episode after today's games, followed up by the waiver wire pickups. We're going to be doing our startums and sit-ums throughout this week as well. So make sure you check us out over on YouTube and over on Spotify as well. Now, make sure you smash that like button, that subscriptions bar if you haven't yet. And I hope y'all have an absolutely fantastic fucking Sunday. I hope your drinks are flowing well. I hope your food tastes amazing. And I hope your company is kept well. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Keep your chins up and your attitude down. I'm going to see y'all next time I get up out of here, y'all. Peace out.
That contract and make you feel some type of way.